I run a writing course, so I'm very much focused on writing. And one of the things when I see somebody do a heading and then just do random capitalization and not camel case or even just like capitalize each word, I get a little bit weirded out. You're passionate, like I I don't know if that's a selling point here. Like you definitely want to mention it, but I would probably rephrase that last sentence in terms of. So the first positive thing is, of course, the rounded corners on the photo. We got what I consider a delighter, which is the little smiley on the top right. Such a delightful little thing to, take away the edginess of this. Of course, the photo itself shows him in action with his favorite outdoor activity. I'm a big biker myself, so something like this would make me forget about the non-functional links and think, oh, maybe there's something there. We could jive on a personal level here. So I think that's all very positive for me. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about the copy. One of the things that always gets me right away, and that's also because, I run a writing course, so I'm very much focused on writing. And one of the things when I see somebody do a heading and then just do random capitalization and not camel case or even just like capitalize each word, I get a little bit weirded out. So I know that there's no hard and fast rules, but if you start capitalizing, I would probably capitalize each word because this almost looks like German, where in German you have some words that are capital and other words are not. But like there's actually rules. In English, you don't have those rules. So you got to have something unified here. So a little about me, I would capitalize everything in that sentence. Personally. Outside of work, I probably, I don't have as much trouble with 2-letter words. So like a and off and like 1 or 2-letter words, I would be okay if those are not capitalized. But anything longer than 2 letters, I would probably capitalize. I know I'm being very pedantic here, but that's like a pet peeve of mine.
It matters. Those details matter.
And then another thing is in terms of repetition, you got to be careful if you're repeating stuff. Like in the first sentence, you're saying you're a UX designer with over 5 years of experience. And then in the second paragraph, working as a freelance UX designer for 5+ years is where I gained valuable skills. So this is an obvious contrast you're throwing in there. First, you have a repetition of the 5+ years, but then you introduced us to you being a seasoned UX designer where I have certain preconceptions. If you read any of Nick Fine's posts on LinkedIn, you'd be like, oh, this is what a senior UX designer looks like. So that's what I'd be thinking when somebody says senior designer, but then you're saying you're freelance for 5+ years. So that kind of, that's not the same as a senior or seasoned UX designer, in my opinion. So you got to be careful to qualify yourself in a correct way. You don't want to over advertise or, worst case scenario, even fake sell yourself with an experience that you don't have. So if you haven't actually worked for a bigger company or something like that, just be clear about that right away. It's not a showstopper or anything, but it is a bit weird when you're saying seasoned and then you're just kind of doing freelance work for 5 years. It's not the same thing. So got to be careful about how you present yourself there.
So a few things that I wanted to add to what you said. I think everything you said so far, Lennart, is just on point. And I feel like from all of this could go almost. Like I feel like just saying things that are very UX related anyway. It's not like there is anything crazy about identifying pain points or developing creative solutions, right? This is just plain UX, right? And then cross-functional teams, sure. The only thing that is actually good, like you mentioned, is like being a great communicator. That's not the case for everyone, right? You could be a UX designer and do all of the stuff that he talked about here, problem solving, all that stuff, but can you communicate it clearly? That's maybe a good thing to bring out. But otherwise it feels like I'm just learning about what UX is here, right? And I already know that. So it's like, can I please have something a bit more differentiated? And if not, then I think that this helps me connect with him so much better. And I feel like seeing a picture of him, like you said, like the little smiley face, it's almost like I want to see this inverted where it talks less about design here and more about who is outside of work, and make it more personal, more fun, more poppy. And I think other than that, it's decent. I think I would just add maybe a few more pictures, add more text to support those pictures, stuff like that. Like tell me who you are outside, because the About Me page is the only page where you can actually showcase your personality. Every other page will show your work, right? So this is the one place where you can tie it all together, but be less work heavy, less design heavy. That's one of the recommendations I have for him.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely agree with everything you both have said. I think this is super valuable feedback for Trevor. One thing I do want to say is we all need to take a sip. I checked the contrast, and that reddish, pink, salmon, if you will, is definitely not accessible. So,
all right. Cheers.
So I think, and I checked that actually on his homepage, and it's the same one, just wanted to be sure. But the color of the button also wasn't accessible either on this homepage, the primary. I was wondering if it was, and it's not. So just like those small things, I definitely think add up. It's one of those, like why aren't you considering this accessibility? It's not that hard just to add a little bit extra contrast to make sure that it's visible. And it's something that I think most hiring managers now are very savvy to, and will be looking for that stuff, and that can quickly disqualify you. So again, not big tweaks. From what I'm hearing from you both, and I completely agree, it's like show you more personality, cut out unnecessary stuff, be very clear about who you are, and then to fix some of these visual stuff we're talking about, and a couple errors with grammatical / capitalization, all that stuff. And I think this would be a fantastic about page. It wouldn't take a lot.
No, it wouldn't.
Cool. So Lennart, what would you give Trevor for a rating on his about page?
I'd actually say this is a solid about page. I do agree that it's a little bit too generic. But that's to me the difference between solid and Kickass. Like, it really stand out if you infuse it with personality, but really it is slightly above most of the about pages that I see, and there is enough to like here. There's actually a lot to like about this about page. So I think it's a good job. It's brief, not over the top. You got the lighter and everything. It's a good about page, so definitely solid.
Nice. Ludwig, what about you, man?
You know what? I was just thinking as you were talking, I feel like if you remove the rounded corners here, you remove the little face, and you remove this text, it's not the same feeling. I would just go from, I think I would say between good and solid is my rating. And if you remove this and this, which is barely anything, I think it would be a good. It's crazy, but the small little details,
Nice. Yeah, I'm right there with both of you. I think I'm somewhere between a good and a solid, and I think what would bring this to a Kickass for me would be just more personality, and maybe even more pictures of him doing things that he cares about, showing more of what makes Trevor a Trevor.